We are starting to read the hand of a 28-year-old male. And before we start the hand reading, I would request you to press the bell icon on YouTube and don't miss another update. You can call me or you can email me. The numbers are mentioned out here. The numbers, email as well as phone number. So now we straight away head to this particular hand reading. Now in this particular hand image, first we are going to look at the portion of the life the person is traveling in, and that portion we will try to see on the headline. The headline is a very important line. See, generally people want to know about the money line, but this is basically the money line I'm drawing over. There's a break on the money line at the intersection of the head as well as money line. So this age portion, the person is going to face few hardships at the age of 35. This is the portion of age when the main money line is kind of ending and a new one is starting. So people think that money line would tell all aspects of the money. It is not so. There are other more important aspects of our palm than just the money line. Even the money aspects can be seen on your almost any possible line. So don't think that money line is the only line to refer to while looking at one's career and success. So now we look at, this is the headline and this is the money line. So you would notice that this portion of the headline is before the age of 35. This intersection portion is before the age of 35 on the headline. In the initial period of one's life, you would notice that there are few upward lines that are kind of angling towards the Mount of Jupiter. Mount of Jupiter is an important planet. Jupiter is the pointing finger, and it is basically the finger of administration, religion and politics and honor. So upward lines are always indicative of the person being able to reach up a higher position in their life, administratively as well as honor wise as well. Both wise, Jupiter is for administration, religion and politics. Even in religion, the person basically gets honor. It's not that this person is inclined towards religion, but in general, Jupiter signifies these things, and these upward lines are always indicative of honor. So people generally have these kind of lines in the earlier period of their life, but there are few lines that are pointing towards the Mount of Jupiter somewhere before the age of 35. So this, if this intersection is age 35, this intersection of the money and the headline is age 35. So this portion of the headline where there are upward branches pointing towards the Mount of Jupiter, they need not go and reach the Mount of Jupiter. They just have to point towards the Mount of Jupiter or any other planet to get the qualities of Jupiter. So even the lines appear to be very dim. I'm just going to tweak the image a little bit. I'll just change the image a little bit, kind of a little bit darken it. Then you would be able to see these indications much more clearly. So these upward lines means a person would reach a honorable position somewhere around the age of, let's say, 33 to 33 or 34 age. This is when few indications are seen. The other things can be seen is that there are few inward kind of lines. Inward lines you would see pointing towards the Mount of Mars. See, each and this area of Mars is, the name is Mars negative. So Mars negative is basically a very important area. This whole place is Mount of Mars negative, and this whole portion is the Mount of Venus. The Mars is basically the area of anger, aggression and fire. And if basically the headline kind of points towards the Mount of Mars, a branch from the headline points towards the Mount of Mars, it is indicative of anger coming in this particular person's mind. And anger, if there is anger in a mind, the chances of taking wrong decisions increases. So my advice to this particular person would be, try to contain your anger. Although the person is cautious, shy, hardworking, that can be depicted by the headline and the lifeline joined for a considerable portion of this particular portion of time. So the person is cautious, shy, contemplating. All these qualities come to this particular person. So one major event that is likely to take place is at the age of 35, where we find that the money line is broken. When the money line is broken, what happens is that it has got multiple meaning, 2 or 3 different meanings, and one of them might apply. So the first could be that the person starts a career, he has a career or he has a business, and that business fails, or there's a major, the person loses his job. So what happens is that the money line break could mean either a break in one's business or in their service. So these two things could be depicted, but at the same time it is not necessary that it could only mean that. It could also mean that somewhere at the age of 35, probably the main earning member in the family, his health or the wealth gets affected. So what's going to happen is more responsibility is going to come onto this particular person's head. So he has to become more responsible. So this is the time when responsibility will be on this particular person's head at the age of 35. So this is an important period for this particular person. The other portion that we need to discuss out here is for service. He wants to know about service. Can he get a good service or not, or something like this. So for service or business or any other aspect, the area that we have to consider is basically this particular area, the mount of Mercury. This is the most important planet of the present times. I'm just going to redraw it. This is the portion of the area is the most important. Now this area, you would notice that there are perpendicular lines out here. If there was a horizontal line, those are basically negative lines. Those are considered to be really bad lines, because what happens is that if our area gets, if the horizontal lines are there, that means this area gets segmented, like it gets reduced. But a perpendicular line is something like a knife, and it is something like rays is penetrating the fingers or light is penetrating, and what's happening is as they travel onto the palm, inside that, it means that they enter your life. And once these rays things are penetrating and moving forward, so what's happening is the line that is drawn out here that you can see, that is getting sharpened. That means the knife is getting sharpened. It means that the person is giving great importance to sharpening the skills. So sharpening of the skills is the most important aspect of one's life. If a person has got perpendicular lines over the amount of Mercury, the chances for their success increases. So this is a beautiful line that this particular person has. He also has, I'm just going to again change the levels of the image. You'll notice one more thing is that there's also a long line that is kind of pointing towards the amount of Mercury. I'm just going to redraw the line once again. This is a long line pointing towards the amount of Mercury. So in all, I would say Mercury is good indicated in this particular person's hand, and it is going to give results. So because Mercury basically represents anything to do with the skill, anything to do with communication and calculations or passing an exam. So Mercury gives those abilities. So if a Mercury is good, why we say this Mercury is good? Because it has got less lines over it. Some people, what they have is that they have too many lines crisscrossing each other. If a person has got too many crisscrossing lines over the amount of Mercury, it would mean that the amount of Mercury is getting overworked. So if a planet gets overworked, so the chances of the person getting tired also increases, or that particular planet getting tired increases. So this is the reason why even if you don't have any line over your mounts, it is nothing wrong. It is in fact a good sign, provided there are less lines over your mount. Those are considered to be a beautiful sign. Lastly, I would go on to the left hand as well before. Uh, so, in this case, we also find that in the initial period of one's life, this is the sun line I am drawing. This is the initial period, and I'm just going to draw the whole line. So this is the early period of one's life, like after the age of 25 or so. The intersection of the head and the sun line is, this intersection is basically the age 35, the head line and the sun line. And this intersection of the heart line and the sun line is age 53. So you'll notice beyond the age of 53, the line is excellent. So a person might say that, is there no career till the age of 53? It is not like that. You have to use common sense that if something is good is going to happen at the age of 53, so the likelihood is that even when you do not have a very prominent kind of a line of sun, even then you're going to be successful, because towards the end the person has got a deep and clear sunlight. This is an excellent sign to have. So the person need not worry even if the lines are very dim. See, dim lines are all about doubts. It is said the person who has doubts, it basically everything gets destroyed, because self-doubt doesn't like help you to move forward, because you're self-doubting. So if you're doubting yourself, so the other person would also doubt you of your capabilities. So try to remove all the doubts in your life. That's when everything falls in place. Lastly, I give great importance to the heart line as well regarding one's success. And in his case, the heart line has got few branches over it. Branches, as I have always said, that branches are not considered to be very good. Branches, if they were pointing towards a finger, they would have been good. But branches, if they are pointing downward towards the headline, this is basically a little bit negative sign. It basically means that attachments bring in expectations. Expectations are not fulfilled. That is the reason disappointments creep in. So the person needs to be careful regarding this particular aspect. The headline is a little bit disturbed the period the person is traveling in. This whole time before the age of 35, you would notice that the headline is a little bit unclear, and specifically under the mount of Saturn. See, Saturn in itself is a good planet. Saturn basically means money management, responsibility, being grounded, and knowing the ground situations very well. But if the headline gets disturbed just under the mount of Saturn, then basically the problem arises. So what happens is that mental disturbances, depression, all these things, and even anger, because the headline is moving towards the area of Mars, that basically reduces the prospect, the good aspects that can play out. These upward lines that I've told you are excellent sign. Money line is good, but money line importance is very low. Don't think that money line tells everything. It is basically the Mercury line that tells about success, the sun line that tells about success. I don't say that money line has got no importance. Money line has its importance, but with the combination of other lines, these upward lines on the mount of Jupiter, the person also has got a prominent mount of Venus. Venus is the area of desires and stamina. So the person has got that desire to make good in his life, try to make his life much better. So this is all about success, is all about energies and desires. So even if the person fails many times, see, Venus doesn't guarantee success, but Venus says that I will give you the energy and I would give you the fuel to basically work hard. So the fuel is there, the energy is there, the stamina is there for success. So in that way, it is a good sign. Now we move on to the left hand. Just we'll look briefly. In the left hand, the difference between the left and the right hand is left hand is the hand of past, right hand is the hand of present, left is passive hand, right is active hand. It's not that both hands are going to be totally dissimilar. There are going to be lots of similarities. So even if we look at the left hand, it doesn't matter much, because the lines are basically nearly the same. The main lines are nearly the same. You would notice that the money line is breaking at the intersection, this intersection at the age of 35. The Mercury line is present, although a little bit weak. The sun line is also prominent. at the same age after the age of 53, then in this case there are many 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines pointing towards the mount of Jupiter, and pointing to these lines are pointing either from the lifeline or they are pointing from the headline. Basically the meaning remains the same. Try to understand what Jupiter is. Jupiter is basically a big planet. Big planet means growth in one's life, expansion in one's life, honor in one's life. So these things are going to play a major role in this particular person's case. Generally some people want to know that will they become IAS, IPS, all these kind of things. But although this area does depict all these things, but it doesn't mean that it is only, administration is only limited to IAS and IPS officers. It could be any administrative job. It could be even in private sector or a government sector, because even in private sector you get lots of honor because you are at a high position. So Jupiter just provides the high position. It does not distinguish between the government or the private sector, but more importance is given to the government because government is for governance, but all government jobs are not necessarily for governance. Like a person could be a sweeper and the person could be in a government job, so that is not administration, that is basically cleaning. A person could be in a banking job, but that is not basically government job, that is basically a job of finance. So that's it. The hands are similar, so I'm not giving too much of reading regarding the left hand because there are lots of similarities. The same indications are there, and upward lines from the lifeline or the headline are all gains coming to this particular person. And I try to correlate the lifeline in a different way. I say that a lifeline is something like a jute rope. It's a jute rope. It starts somewhere at the edge out here, and then it ends, the lifeline ends somewhere towards the base of the mount of Venus. This is the mount of Venus. So what happens is these lines that are coming and overlapping the lifeline, they're joining into the lines. So what's happening, the rope is becoming stronger out here. You'd notice that more strings are getting attached to the main rope. So these are good signs. If there were downward lines pointing towards the mount of moon, those would have been negative. So that's it for this reading. I hope you like this particular video. Before I end this particular video, I just repeat a thing that I repeat in almost all my videos, that is, people want to know about money, possessions and wealth. It is not necessary that money line would tell you everything. It is the heart line, headline, lifeline, sun line, mercury, any other line can tell about the money aspects of your palm. Importance of money line in terms of money is just 15%, nothing more than that. You can come to about money from almost all aspects of your palm. And a saint once said, you do not need to go to an astrologer or palmist to know about your future, because you already know your future. Present is a result of past. How will be my future? Future depends upon what you are doing in the present. What are we? We are product of our thoughts. So the thoughts that come to our mind are really important. Keep positive thoughts and keep good company. That is what basically matters the most. Thanks, bye, and take care.